So move with the time that you have. The world will keep spinning round. Don't wait for tomorrow. Live for today. Keep chasing the sunshine and go out and play. Listen, I wanna be there with you no matter where you go. Life is a table for two, and we're starting the show. Well, I'm gonna spread my wings and fly so high up above the clouds. You know that time doesn't wait for your dreams. We're living right here and now. Don't wait for tomorrow. Live for today. Keep chasing the sunshine and go out and play. Are you ready for it? Better take your shot. It's gonna do the things that you wanna do, yeah. 'Cause this time is the right time, baby. You're the star and this is all about you. Don't wait for tomorrow. Live for today. Keep on chasing the sunshine and go out and play. You know, don't wait for tomorrow. Live for today. Just keep on chasing the sunshine and go out and play, yeah. Hey! Free as a bird in the sky, that is what you are. Breathe and you know you're alive. Feel the beat of your heart. Well, life is a crazy.
Hi, it's Sally Ford here from Dr. Hernandez. Just want to say congratulations C4C on another year of great work. We're really sorry we can't be with you tonight, but we'd like to send you all our best wishes and to encourage everyone to donate to your wonderful organisation so you can continue the work that you do. Dr. Hernandez was lucky enough to have a gig with the Seniors Festival recently. We wrote, recorded and filmed this track in ISO and we want to share it with you tonight. We hope you enjoy it. It's a cumbia. It says, "Cumbia makes me happy. I want to listen. I want to dance to cumbia, but Corona, stay away." I hope you have a great night.
En vez del gran silencio, quisiera escuchar la cumbia. En vez del gran silencio, quisiera escuchar la cumbia. Felicidad me da felicidad. Felicidad me da felicidad. Dancing a distancia, Yo quiero bailar la cumbia, dancing a distancia. Yo quiero bailar la cumbia. Felicidad me da felicidad. Felicidad me da felicidad. Señoras y señores, hay que quedarnos en casa. Y si tienes que salir, póngase una mascarilla. Tenemos que respetar el toque de queda y luchamos juntos contra la corona. Ay, corona, quítate de aquí. Ay, corona, quédate allí. Linda cumbia, salvadora pa' mí. Linda cumbia, que da vida a mí. ¡Upa! Goza, goza, goza. Doctor Hernández dice, quédate en casa. La cumbia es la cura. Pónganse una mascarilla. Quédate en casa.
What a fantastic start to Climate for Change's Online-a-thon. Thank you to Melbourne's own Dr. Hernandez. I know you're just in your living room, so you'll feel like an idiot, but a very big round of applause. They have an amazing musical pedigree. Those guys have played, their musicians have played with everyone from Joe Camilleri to Yothu Yindi. And more importantly, they have been supporting CFC since 2017, and we'll be hearing from them later on tonight. Welcome to Climate for Change's Online-a-thon. I am your MC tonight, Judith Lucy. But firstly, we acknowledge that we are coming together tonight from many lands that were stolen from Aboriginal peoples across this country. Sovereignty was never ceded, and colonisation has brought ongoing injustices that we are still to come to terms with properly and to put right. We would also like to acknowledge, as we work towards climate justice, that Aboriginal people across Australia are some of the most affected by the impacts of climate change and some of the bravest people working to combat it. What is the Climate for Change Online-a-thon? Well, of course, it's online because of that pesky pandemic, as Dr. Hernandez really pointed out, and pointed out with some beat, with some music, with tubas, with masks. It was amazing. We got the message. And we really need to do something about climate, because there'll be a lot more pandemics where this one came from if we don't. But tonight is the start of C4C's 2020 crowdfunder. Over the next 5 weeks, they're hoping to raise $190,000, and that will enable them to take their conversations all across Australia, which is so important and such a fantastic cause. Tonight, we're aiming to raise $15,000. My God, we'll piss it in. Come on, Australia. Come on, Melbourne. And it's more than that. I won't just be hounding you for cash, although frankly, there will be a lot of that, and it will probably become quite irritating. But on top of that, it's also a celebration of the C4C community and everything they've already achieved. I am not kidding. We are in for an amazing night. Screw Netflix. We're going to have more music from Dr. Hernandez, from Sheila, from Felix Riebel, from the Cat Empire. We're going to be hearing interviews with filmmaker Damon Gameau, from best-selling author Sarah Wilson. We'll be hearing from the amazing climate scientist Dr. Joelle Gurgis. We'll be hearing from social researcher Rebecca Huntley. And oh my God, we've got Egg Boy. And speaking of eggs, we're going to be cooking with MasterChef finalist Simon Toohey. Could there possibly be more? Yes. There are going to be some bizarre challenges where people will be doing everything from eating raw onions to dressing up like birds. I don't understand it either, but I'm sure we'll all come to. That's not even it. You're going to be able to go into a draw for coffee catch-ups on Zoom with me and Simon Toohey and Damon Gameau and Sarah Wilson and Egg Boy, not all together. That sounds like some crazy, creepy orgy, and that's not going to happen. But also, if you donate, you're going to be in the running to claim some thank you gifts. Oh, look, all that and more. It's going to be an amazing couple of hours. But I'm going to shut up for a second because someone who knows a lot more about C4C and this evening is its founder and CEO. I'd like to welcome Katerina Gator.
Hi, Judith.
Hi, Katerina. Can you believe it's actually happening? After all the rehearsals and the stress, we are here.
Yes, just hoping my internet keeps going.
We're all hoping that. But Katerina, for anyone who might not know, Climate for Change, what is it and why did you start it?
Right. Well, we're a not-for-profit. Most of our work is done by lots of passionate volunteers. We often have I think it's about 300 volunteers every year doing the work that we do, but we have a small team of staff who train, recruit and support those volunteers. Our mission is to create the social climate we need for the action that we need on climate change from the leaders in our society that can really deliver those big changes we need. So our politicians, our leaders in business and industry, we're really trying to create the social mandate or the social pressure for them to do what we need them to do. And our work is based on social research that tells us that social change happens and people form opinions and change behaviours when they have conversations or two-way dialogues with people that they trust. So our work is all about finding people who are already committed to the changes we need and taking action to get governments to act and business to act, and then help those people to have better conversations with their friends and family who trust them to get them on board too. And our main program, which you'll hear more about tonight, has actually stolen the Tupperware party model, or I think on your podcast you talked about it as the sex party model, but no dildos and no plastic. We bring people together in people's living rooms. We send a trained facilitator who's a volunteer to go out and run a night with them. And then at the end of the night, we ask everyone in the room to host the next party. And our goal is to get 2 new hosts at every party. So unfortunately, I guess coronavirus has shown us how quickly that spreads when you get 2 more hosts. So yeah, we're trying to create the depth of conversation we need for that individual change at a scale that would create the social change and put pressure on our governments and on leaders in business and industry to create the changes that we need to fix climate change and keep our planet safe.
And were you just frustrated? Is that how Climate for Change came about? You just had enough on basically both of our political parties not doing enough?
Yeah. So I think I guess there were 2 key motivations. One was when I fully came to terms with what climate change actually means for all of us, and I guess particularly my children. My first reaction, I think, like a lot of people, was grief and despair. And then I came out of that really with a question that was just, have I given up hope? Is it completely hopeless? And when I realized that I couldn't say yes to that at all, like I immediately knew the answer to that question was no. And once I realized that, I felt, I think Sarah later on talks a bit about the difference between optimism and hope. And optimism is sort of like everything will be all right, that's fine. Whereas hope is everything will be okay, or things could be okay if we do something about it. And so for me, that put a moral compulsion on me to do all I possibly could to make sure that hope didn't disappear. And then when I thought about, well, I guess for a long time I felt stuck. I didn't know what I could possibly do. But when I thought about it, I realized we know what the problem is. We know what the solutions are. We have those solutions. The only thing missing is the social and political will to do something about that. And I knew, because I'd already worked in behavior change, that that everyday people can actually do something about that. We can be having conversations with our friends and family to build that social and political will. And so I actually looked around for an organization that would help me do that. And I couldn't find one that would help me have those genuine conversations. So I ended up starting one.
Well, that is unbelievably impressive. And anything I've seen of Climate for Change, I've just thought was amazing. I've been along to one of your evenings. I'm going to do the facilitator course in November. So I'm very excited about that. Now, this is the start of your 5-week crowdfunder. Tell us a bit about that. Why $190,000? What are you going to do with that money?
Yeah. So crowdfunding is actually how we started as an organisation. It has provided over about 60 to 70% of our funds every year. This is our main form of fundraising, and it has basically allowed us to do all the work we've done so far, and it will allow us to grow the work that we're doing over the next year or into the future. Our goal, we've actually just completed an impact report. I think Mike will come on later and tell you a bit more about that. But that, as well as showing us that we've got a really powerful model that's really effective, it also showed us what it will take to really grow this model across Australia and reach the sort of numbers that we'd need to create that social and political will. And so that's our goal over the next few years, is actually to ramp up sort of, I think, over the next 3 years, our goal is to reach over 40,000 people, which is a 500% increase from the last 3 years. So it's pretty ambitious. This $190,000 is, I guess, it's not everything we need to deliver that plan, but it would be a really good start. It would allow us to get started straight away and then continue to fundraise to keep delivering that plan. And of course, if we can raise more than 190,000, which is possible, then that will mean we can go further faster and reach those numbers faster. So.
Yeah. Amazing. And now tonight we're aiming to make $15,000, but I'm just a little bit confident that we might be able to raise a bit more than that. But tell us, well, first and foremost, Katerina, how can people donate?
Sure. So I think on the bottom of your screen, there's a link. Most of the night, that link will be up and you can go to that. And when you do, you'll go to the page, which I believe is showing on your screen right now. And all you have to do is actually click on that donate button. And when you do, if you, oops, that should have changed. That will be updated soon. It is actually live already. But when you do, you can either donate by using that box that's on the right-hand side, that blue box, or if you have a friend who's fundraising tonight, so we have, I think, over 200 volunteers who are fundraising at the moment, you can search for one of them. Federica is searching for herself. You can click on their page, and then if you use the box on the right-hand side, the money you donate will go to your friend's target. So all our volunteers have set themselves fundraising targets for the next 5 weeks, and they're aiming to reach their targets. So if you've got a friend who's fundraising, you can use their page to donate as well. If you donate $100 or more, so you do that by clicking, you'll see you can select a thank you gift. So there are various thank you gifts available tonight that you can choose when you donate that way as well.
Well, that is amazing. How many of these sort of, benefits do you see where you donate money and you get a gift? That doesn't happen on top of actually contributing to an amazing cause. So that is extraordinary. What about these coffee catch-ups?
Yeah, great. So if you, I think we've got 5 celebrities who are fundraising tonight, including you. So that's you.
Really, really pushing, but please go on.
Yeah, and so if you donate to any of those 5 celebrities' pages, doing it the same way as you would have searched for Federica, so you can search Judith, Simon, Sarah, Will, Connolly, and Damon Gameau, are all offering coffee catch-ups. And the way you go into the draw for that is to donate $50 or more to the page of the person who you'd like to go for a coffee with. And you'd find them the same way that you would find any of your friends fundraising by searching their name in that.
What if you want to go in the draw, but you also want to contribute to your friend's fundraiser page?
Yeah, we've got that covered too. All you have to do is donate to the person to the page of the person you'd like to go for coffee with. And then when you donate, you'll see there's an option to leave a message, and just put your friend's name in that message box. And then we'll make sure that the amount that you donate goes towards their target.
And now you've got some pretty amazing sponsors who've already kicked some cash in and are going to kick in more cash. Is that right?
That's right. So we've got 3 sponsors, PowerShop, Bank Australia and Ethical Investment Services, and they've all put in $500 already to get the night started. And then if we reach our target of $15,000 tonight, they will each donate another $2,000. So that's $6,000 on total. I know, but only if we reach that target. So we need everyone's help to unlock that.
We're going to reach the target. Of course we'll reach the target. And what happens if we do reach the target? Because I've heard a sneaky little rumor that we might have another target if that happens. Yeah. And if we reach the second target, then your children get to torture you. Is that right?
That's right. You've always got to have a backup. So if we do reach our target early, then we'll go for a stretch target of $30,000. And I have promised my kids that if we reach that target, they will get to throw a bucket of ice water over my head live on TV or live on live stream.
Enough that you're saving the planet for them, Katerina.
I will do everything.
Well, that's amazing. And so, Katerina, before we go to our first guest, other than you, why should people donate?
I guess some of the reasons I already said. I guess for me, I think climate is that issue that is a meta issue. No matter what we care about, we can't fix it unless we fix climate change at the same time. And in terms of climate for change, I think our impact report, which you can see on our website if you want to have a look, has really shown that this model is really effective. And but it's also shown that if we want to take this Australia-wide and really have the impact that we want to have, then we really need to resource it properly. And that's what this crowdfund is all about.
Amazing. We will, of course, be hearing more from Katerina as the night goes on. But something tells me it's time that we headed over to the kitchen. It's time we headed over to meet Simon Toohey, who of course we all know is a MasterChef finalist, but he has also embarked on a journey to change the relationship that we have with food. He set up an acclaimed pop-up vegan smokehouse and also founded Sustainable Earth Network that focuses on sustainable practices and food that's good for the planet. Simon Toohey, where are you?
Coming in hot. Hello.
And hot is the word, Simon Toohey. How are you?
I'm doing well. You're looking well. You enjoying yourself?
I'm having a ball because the fact that I get to cross to you and will be doing several times this evening just makes me feel like I've got my own morning television show. And it's really a dream come true. I'm going to be able to say many times tonight, and now it's back to Simon in the kitchen. So that was worth getting up for. But Simon, now you obviously love to cook and you love sustainability. So can you tell us about your journey? When did you decide to marry those two things?
Yeah, it's an amazing journey to come across, because I found when I studied in Edinburgh food science or gastronomy, and I think it was there that really things started hitting home about the differences between consuming food from mass supermarkets to consuming food from small boutiques, local farmers, local producers, gates, farm gates, etc., and really supporting the local farmers. And then that actually leads on to, well, why are you growing that? What is it that makes this more important than where things are growing from there? And finally, that then leads on to how much waste are we losing when it comes from the mass producers? Because not only because they want it, they don't want to lose that, but because in some ways they have no choice because there's nowhere for it to go. People don't want to buy it because it doesn't look good. People don't want to buy it because supply and demand isn't right there, or they've had a bumper crop. They could have had an amazing season growing whatever it could be, and they literally cannot fill the shelves enough because they've got too much, or they can't fill the shelves because they've got too much surplus, and they basically just go straight to landfill. And I think this sort of had a little bit of an effect on me, because then when we fast forward to MasterChef world, I started to realize how important it is for the plant-based eating environment and people's minds when it comes to that. And fighting food waste is one of those major parts as well. So therefore, Sustainable Earth Network looks at fighting food waste through utilizing a whole ingredient and trying to educate people where vegetables are no longer the steamed and boiled mush that we want to remember, but they have flavor, they have texture, they have excitement, and we get to delve into something that I think a lot of people really haven't thought about for such a long time.
And look, for someone like me, who strangely is not a whiz in the kitchen, are there any just really basic tips you can give all of us for how we might start to eliminate some waste in the kitchen?
Yeah, absolutely. One, we could eat more than we've been taught. Broccoli stems can be eaten. You know, the thing is, what we actually find is when you get a broccoli, it's covered in leaves coming out the side, but all we ever get is just the stem and the floret, right? So really, those leaves are fantastic, and we need to get supermarkets and bigger producers to start bringing them in so we get more bang for our buck. But you can absolutely eat the stem. Cauliflower leaves, a great example. You know, they grow a meter above the cauliflower when they're in peak season, and you can actually eat all those leaves. They're fantastic full of nutrients. The stems of stuff. So we've got the stems of this Cavolo Nero. You know, this is woody, but if you cut this really finely in a stir fry, you've got texture. You know, really good concepts. And things like this, another great example of stuff you can keep. But not only that, if you think about simplicity of the garlic papers and the onion papers on the outside, put that in a Tupperware container, put that in the freezer, keep filling it up, and then save yourself the $5 from buying your mass-produced MSG-filled stock from the supermarket and make your own. Put it in some warm water, let it sit there for 2 hours, strain it out. You have enough to make your risottos, your stews, your casseroles, anything you want. There are so many different options out there. The best friend at the moment is something called Google, because it'll help you in every single way possible. If not, Simon Tui, Sustainable Earth Network, ask me any questions you want on Instagram and I will try to get back with you with a great answer.
You're blowing my mind, Simon. So I'm assuming that on your Sustainable Earth Network, we get tips like this all the time, as well as recipes. Is that what people want to find?
Exactly right. So our first season, called The Whole Thing, is basically focused around using a whole ingredient. I end up in South Melbourne markets and start buying cauliflowers. I end up at a blueberry farm. I end up doing some great work with Food Bank using a whole cabbage. We went to a beautiful country town where Food Bank was supplying free food for the wonderful community, and they had 2 tons of cabbages that they need to get rid of, but they didn't know how because no one knew what to do with them. I made simple cabbage pancakes and topped it with cheese so it would melt all over the top, and they got rid of the 2 tons of cabbages like that, and no one ever thought it was possible. So all we're doing is educating and creating funky new ways for people to try different ingredients they're not familiar with, and then you'll see it fly out the door. But sustainableearthnetwork.com has all of the recipes, and on top of that, our YouTube channel has the first of season 1, and then season 2, a little secret between you and I and everyone watching, is coming out pretty soon.
Fantastic. And can I say hats off to you for putting the words cabbage and funky in sentences. I don't know that that's ever been done before. Now, Simon, you're actually going to be cooking for us tonight. And for the people who want to play along at home, what are you cooking? What ingredients do they need? Do they need to start chopping in preparation for your first actual cooking segment?
Yes, the pressure's on. I mean, really, I think what I need to do is I need to give everyone who's there the confidence to know that whatever they do is going to be okay. Nothing is going to blow up unless you've really struggled to turn on the gas, and we'll leave that alone. But we want to chop everything up as rough as possible. So I've got a whole bunch of greenery. I'm going to turn my heat on, and I've got these tomatoes, and some people might have bigger or small tomatoes, but I've got these beautiful tomatoes. We're coming into tomato season now. And what I want to do is, this is where flavor comes from. The one great thing about tomatoes, has an amazing source of natural MSG, which is fantastic, all sitting on the outside of the skin. And I'm going to blister these. Now, what people really forget when it comes to plant-based food is that color equals flavor. Not only does that mean the same in meat when you get that Maillard reaction from searing off steaks or any sort of meat, why do we forget that color is just as important in this as well? So I've got my tomatoes, and I'm just going to first of all chop these in half and put them in a pan that's full of oil.
Simon, but have we actually said what you're going to be cooking?
Oh, yeah, good point. So I was going to do this because that was the first point, and then I'm going to put the tomatoes in there. So what I'm making is basically an everything stew. We're using chickpeas as our filler, as our base of great source of protein. So don't worry, you will fill up. And then on top of that, I've got an array of vegetables. I've got Cavolo Nero. I got some old spinach that I found that's kind of wilting in the fridge. I've got some parsley and some celery. And what I want everyone at home watching and cooking along is to chop them up. And I'm going to give you an example of what I mean. Get your Cavolo Nero, get a couple of stalks, let's just say 2 or 3, try and get them out of the, and then chop them like this. Chop, chop, chop. Right, that's it, big pieces, easy peasy. Now go around all your vegetables and then do the same thing. Put them in the pot with the tomato and get some beautiful color. When you've reached the nice amount of color, then I want you to add your stock, add your chickpeas and put the lid on, but I'll come back to you and tell you more when we get to that stage. I'm going to start my chopping. I have a feeling by the time you get back, all my prep will be done in the chopping world.
I've got that feeling too. Thank you so much, Simon. But just to begin with, people should just get out any vegetables that they've got. And if you've got some chickpeas, especially if you've got some tomatoes and some stock, get all of that happening. And we're going to be coming back to you many times tonight, Simon. And as I say, I will never tire of saying, and it's back to Simon in the kitchen. So
I can't wait.
We'll see you soon, Simon. But right now we're going back to CEO of Climate for Change, Katerina Gator, because she is going to tell me the thing that I've become a little bit obsessed with it, Katerina. I'm a little bit obsessed with the challenges. What are they?
Yeah. So as I said, we've got over 200 volunteers who are fundraising over the next 5 weeks. And I guess, when you're doing that, you're trying to make it a bit of fun. A lot of our fundraisers are doing challenges. I think someone's doing push-ups for every $10 they raise. My son is going to cut his hair for the first time in 6 years, and if he reaches his stretch target, shave his head. So we've got lots of challenges happening over the 5 weeks, and some of the fundraisers wanted to have a bit of fun tonight and do some challenges here tonight. So I think we've got 3 challenges over the night. Each challenge will have 4 fundraisers doing the challenge. And if you're watching on Facebook, you will get to vote using the reactions for your favorite fundraiser at each challenge. So you'll see that as it comes on. And then we've got a couple of great sponsors who are donating to those fundraisers pages. So the first people who come first will get $130, and then 90, 65, and 45, and that will be from property collectives and V2 Foods. So just a bit of fun.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, I'm obsessed with them. I want to see people eat onions. I want to see people dressed as birds. I want to see people eating eclairs without their hands. I mean, if people don't be watching for that, well, they're out of their minds. But in fact, let's hear from one of those very generous sponsors. Let's hear from Tim from Property Collective.
Tim Riley, and I'm the founder of Property Collectives. We're proud to be supporting the Climate for Change crowdfund this year. You probably haven't heard of Property Collectives, but over the last 10 years, we've developed a collaborative approach to building new homes. Our deliberative model builds new homes at cost. So we aim to deliver savings of around 15% to members of our collectives. By taking a citizen-led approach to development, we help put members back in control of the quality of their homes. We're deliberately focused on medium density infill projects because we don't believe urban sprawl is the answer to our housing affordability crisis or our environmental crisis. So far, we've created 9 collectives building 60 homes across Melbourne in suburbs like Northcote, Thornbury, Brunswick and St Kilda. Our project in West Brunswick, next to the Westwick Eco Village, is a good example of how innovative models can create positive change. The 10 apartments we're building are designed around a productive communal garden, and we have achieved an average NABERS rating of over 8 stars for each of these homes. So right now, we all need to support innovative organisations that are focused on creating positive change. So please help Climate for Change make a positive difference to 40,000 people over the next 3 years.
Oh my God. I think we've already busted through our initial target. I think we've already raised $20,000. But We'll check in with the target officially soon. In the meantime, I would like to introduce Katerina did a whole bunch of amazing interviews last week, and we're going to see the first one of those. She talked to Dr. Joelle Gurgis, an award-winning climate scientist and writer. She is a lead author of the UN's Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change Sixth Assessment Report, an advisor to the Climate Council, and author of Sunburnt Country, The History and Future of Climate Change in Australia. So this will be incredible. Okay, here's Katerina and Dr. Gurgis.
Most people seem to understand that climate change, they accept climate change is happening. They understand it's serious and urgent. They realise we need to act, but very few people seem to understand exactly the urgency and the scale of the problem. And I was wondering if you could explain to us, what do we need to do, by when, and why is it so urgent?
Okay, well, I think the summer that we just had in Australia, our Black Summer, was really a wake-up call, I think, for all Australians to understand that these extreme events are increasingly upon us. So in just a single bushfire season, we saw about 20% of all of Australia's forests burn. We saw 3 billion animals either killed or displaced. And now we've actually got the koala on the brink of extinction in the state of New South Wales. Now, this is just talking about a single bushfire season. And there have been some recent climate modelling studies that have shown that the summer that we just had will be average by 2040 and it'll be cool by 2060. So take a moment to get your head around that and what that actually means. Right now, we have the Paris Agreement in place, which is looking to try and stabilise global warming to 2 degrees above pre-industrial. And currently we need to triple our global emission reduction pledges to actually achieve that target. And we actually have to increase it 5-fold to achieve the 1.5 degrees of warming. So as it stands, we're really looking down the barrel of really significant warming, and a lot sooner than most people thought. So the latest climate change projections are showing that we could actually cross that 2-degree threshold as early as the 2040s or even the 2050s, which is really remarkable to really be thinking about how quickly this is all playing out. And we know that in a country like Australia, we've even, just with 1.1 degree of warming, we've actually seen 50% of the Great Barrier Reef die off since 2016.
Thank you for explaining that to us. I guess I knew that already, but it's still really, really sobering. And I guess, my next question really is, knowing all of that, I often wonder how climate scientists get up and keep going every day. And I wondered, what gives you hope?
I'm a lead author on the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, or the IPCC. And I think that experience has really given me hope, because I can see that sense of global citizenry is in fact possible. So we have in Working Group 1, which deals with the physical aspect of climate change, so the actual physical science aspect, there's around 220 scientists from all over the world involved in that process. And it's a United Nations process. And so in my own chapter team, there are people from Pakistan and Colombia and France and India and New Zealand. And we all work together in good faith to do the very best science that we can. And I think for me, that whole experience has been quite a life-changing experience, because it makes me realize that human beings, when we really want to, when we really focus on the very best aspects of ourselves, which is that collaborative and connected part of the human condition, if you like, I think we can do it. And I can see that we need to have a lot more people really switched on to this and doing the best that they can in whatever sphere of influence that they have, whether you're a musician, you're a poet, you're a teacher, you're a grandparent, you're a school student, you are a university student, even as scientists as well. And so increasingly what gives me hope is that a lot of people are now starting to realize just how serious this is, because I think it's joining the dots is really important, and it is a really challenging topic to stay with sometimes. And that's why I think these really open and genuine conversations about climate change are really important in all these different aspects of our lives, whether it be around the kitchen table or at your workplace or even at the UN level.
What can folks at home, everyday people, teachers, grandparents, kids, people who aren't climate scientists and get to advocate at the UN, what can we do? that's most effective?
I think that's a really important question. And I think that the most important thing to do is to start having really honest conversations about what climate change means for you and what it means for your family, and also what it means for the places that you love. You're interacting with other people, and start to think about those sorts of things that we can do collectively, because I think it's really powerful when we start to really draw on each other to collectively deal with this. So I think the work that Climate for Change is doing is really important in terms of having those conversations and helping people feel more comfortable broaching these topics that can sometimes shut people down. But I think above and beyond that, increasingly someone like me starts to think more about this intergenerational component, and it's thinking about, well, at this moment in human history, what do I want to do with this life that I have, and how can I contribute to something really positive for the future, knowing that you did everything that you could within your own means, because not everyone can be a climate scientist or even a climate activist, and it isn't necessarily about those things. It's just about also exercising your rights as a citizen of a country, so voting in local, state and federal elections, and getting behind people with credible climate policies and understanding what that means, but also just thinking about the kind of future you want to leave for the next generation that's coming through. And also doing whatever we can to support the young ones, the younger generation, in terms of feeling a sense of empowerment around their future, and not just feeling a sense of desolation and despair. As adults, we have to lead the way and really show them that, you know, another world is possible, but it really requires us stepping up into the very best of our humanity. And I think it's possible. So I don't think it's beyond us.
Thank you. I feel reinvigorated. You know, yeah, it's really nice to hear you hear that you have hope, and that you know, you can see so many things for us to do, and it's really nice to know that the approach Climate for Change is endorsed by a real life climate scientist.
Yeah, no, totally. I think it's important.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gurgis. And as she said, I mean, the best thing is to know as an individual that you did everything that you could. And you know what you can do tonight? You can donate. And on that, let's have a little target update, because I think we're doing rather well. Let's have a look. Are we going to bring that slide up? I think we're going to bring that slide up. Or maybe we're not. But from what I can gather, we've already raised about $23,000, which is incredible. I don't want to say I told you so when I said we'd piss it in with 15,000, but you know what? I told you so. So that's incredible, but we're still at the very beginning of all of this. Don't forget that if you donate $50 or more, you go on the draw to do a Zoom coffee catch up with me, Sarah Wilson, Damon Gameau, Simon Toohey, or Will Connolly, aka Egg Boy. And you also get to claim a whole bunch of amazing thank you gifts. And let's have a little look at some of those now. At least that's very much what I'm hoping is happening.
Artisan clothing brand using signature uplifting fabrics applied to functional designs. Gorman is also a brand with a clear sustainable plan. The Gorman Organic label was introduced in 2007 with a collection of GOTS certified organic cotton basics for everyday wear. Since then, Gorman has committed to increasing the use of certified organic cotton in more products, and has sought out additional sustainable fibres and materials for use in the collections as they've become more available for commercial use. Cloak was established in 2011 by Adam and Amy Combs with the aim to create pieces with comfort at the forefront. This is paramount to Cloak's design practice, resulting in garments that are loved season after season. Cloak believes that when you're spending money on a garment, you really want it to last. Therefore, the label's intention is that each piece is still wearable and relevant after 4 or more years. The result is an ethically made collection of classic and modern pieces designed to love and be worn over and over. Eilish Lydon is a Melbourne-based artist and a 2020 fellow with Climate for Change. This painting was inspired by moments of calm and wonder in wild places. Rambling canopies and clever trees, take a deep breath of fresh air and picture our possible future. This one-off piece is made with acrylic paint on stretched canvas and is 50 by 50 centimeters in size.
Simon, I got so excited about the target that I forgot to cross back to you in the kitchen, because apparently I think we've now raised $28,000, which is just mind-blowing. And frankly, I'm thinking of just chucking it in and going back to Netflix myself. That's just incredible.
What do you need me for? That's amazing.
Go home. Actually, can I come over with a mask and social distancing?
Of course.
Everything there looks amazing. So, okay, we've chopped up all our vegetables. We've put our chickpeas in. We've got our tomatoes. We've got our stock. What's happening?
All right. So I'm with you. I've got everything chopped up in front of me. So onions chopped up. And if you already jumped ahead, congratulations. You don't need meat still. This is twice in a row. So you're telling me. I got my spinach here. I've got this beautiful little squash going on that I've chopped into quarters. What else have I got? I've got my garlic sitting here that I've chopped up as well. And in my pan, I don't know if you remembered. I hope you did. Otherwise, we're all in a bit of trouble. But I put my tomatoes cut side down in oil. And I just want to show you what we're looking for. And if you didn't do this, that's fine. You can always get away with something else. I'm going to get closer to camera. So that's really dark. On the outside, that's gone crispy. So all the sugars have been drawn out and they've started to caramelize. And in the bottom of the pan, you've got this really wonderful sticky style tomato soupy paste. It's absolutely amazing. And that's basically what is the base of what is going to be our chickpea stew. So now that we've been there, and I'm really just going to keep this as simple as possible, everything is going to go in and then topped up with stock. So if you have your pan on quite hot or relatively hot, bring it as hot as you possibly can and get your stock. I've got 1.5 liters. I've got a liter here. I'm going to put a half liter in. Pour it in to deglaze, that classic chefy term that's all about, taking the flavor off the bottom of the pan. So pour your stock in your pot. Right, scrape the bottom to get all those flavors off. And then finally, we're going to put our veggies in. Now, while I'm doing that, I do want to mention, I just feel as though that I'm just completely out of my league if I'm going for these little coffee sessions and we're going to do a bid. And I know this isn't a competition because it should never be. However, if we're talking about raising funds, and I think a competition is actually a really great example of what I can do. And if I find myself raising more than all the other contestants out there for a coffee session, then what I will do is the best person, instead of a coffee, I'll do a cook along with. How does that sound? So if you donate any more or more as much as you possibly can.
That's all we have time from Simon. I think we're just done with you for this segment. That is one of the sneakiest, most underhanded things I've ever seen, Simon Toohey. Well, you know what? If you donate to my page and you do a coffee Zoom catch up with me, and by the way, coffee schmoffy, like we're going to drink coffee. It's going to be Negronis all round, and I'll sit around with the Negronis if you do the coffee catch up with me. So take that, Simon Toohey. Oh my God.
No.
Cheap, you chefs. You have no shame. I'm absolutely appalled. Should people be doing something before we come back to you next time, Simon?
Look, put everything in a...
They'll be very busy donating to my page, but when they stop
oh my God. I'll have to think of a plan B. Throw your bay leaves in, throw all your veggies in, put the lid on, and I'll see you really, really soon.
Okay.
Oh, and put it on simmer. Make sure it's simmering. There we go. Make sure it's simmering. Put everything in, lid on. See you soon.
Okay, thanks a lot, Simon. And yeah, don't forget, you can have a catch up with Simon, with me, with Damon Gameau, with Sarah Wilson, with Egg Boy. And now I believe we are going to do a target check. And we have some wonderful comments. We've got a comment from Lachlan saying, loving the work we're all doing, loving the attitude, loving the planet. God bless you, Lachlan. And look, Let's see how much we've raised. Oh my God, we've raised $29,736. Katerina is so going to have a lot of water poured over her by her children, and I, for one, can't wait. But don't forget, we've still got a long way to go. This is amazing. Imagine if we got like a huge chunk of the $190,000 that C4C needs. Imagine if we got a lot of that tonight. Wouldn't that be incredible? I mean, I know one of the reasons that I want to become more involved in this organization and why I'm doing the facilitator course in November is because I am so disheartened by what our two main political parties are doing. And I really believe, as Katerina said earlier, those politicians will start listening to us when the people who vote for them actually desperately want them to take action. We need to change the culture, and that will change the conversation. And that is why C4C is so important. So let's keep donating, people. Don't forget, there are amazing thank you gifts. You get to go in the draw for the coffee catch-ups. It's all happening. And now I think it could be time for something I'm very excited about, and that's our first challenge. And yes, I'm so excited. I'm producing too much saliva. The first challenge is eating an onion. Eating a raw onion, of course. So for heaven's sakes, if you've got one, play along at home. I, in fact, used to have a science teacher, Miss Addison. She'd walk around the playground wearing fishnets and platforms. It was an unusual look for an all-girl Catholic school. And she would honestly eat raw onions like they were apples. So I'm thinking of her tonight. But now let's watch Nick, Cameron, Aria, and Catalina eating onions. Remember, you can vote for them, and your favorite fundraiser will get money donated to their page thanks to Property Collectives and V2 Foods. Okay, it's a like for Aria, a love for Catalina, a laughing for Cameron, and a wow for Nick. And wow is how I'm feeling. Okay, here's our onion challenge.
Climate for Change Onion Eating Challenge. My name's Nick, and I'm a volunteer for Climate for Change. And the reason I'm doing a volunteer for Climate for Change is I believe it's something that's really important for me morally, and I believe the work that Climate for Change do is great, and I hope that they continue their work in the future.
Hi everyone, I'm Cameron. I am a volunteer for Climate for Change. I'm really excited to be volunteering with them because I think creating a collective movement for action on climate is one of the most important ways to solve the climate crisis. And I also believe that their model is particularly impactful. And yeah, thank you all for being here.
Hi everyone, my name's Aria. I'm so excited to be here, and I'm also a volunteer for Climate for Change, and I just love their work, and I believe having conversations about the climate is super important.
Hi everyone, I'm Catalina, and I think they said it all. Just please support us during this very difficult challenge, and vote for us. Thank you.
Awesome. So we're all ready. We've all got our onions. So we're going to be doing a 20-second eating challenge to see who can eat the most onion. So I'm going to say 3, 2, 1. 1, go.
Oh man, guys.
My
throat. What I wouldn't do for the climate.
So gross.
Oh.
Principal and CEO of Ethical Investment Services. We are a financial advisory group that specialises in providing ethical investment advice. And we've been operating for over 30 years now, and I've been there for 20 of those years. EIS was established at a time well before many in the financial services sector had any concept or understanding of ethical investing, and many still do not, although there is reassuringly growing interest in the financial services industry around how to do ethical and sustainable investing. And we see this as a great move forward, and hopefully more capital will be directed towards companies that deliver positive long-term outcomes for the environment and society in general. Our main office is located in Kew, right at the junction where the 109 and the 48 trams pass by. And our clients come from all over Melbourne and interstate because they know the type of investment options we can assist them with will be aligned with their values. We want to help people ensure that their money flows in the right direction. We deliver competitive investment returns as well as having a positive impact. Now, I grew up in the country and my parents instilled in me the importance of a healthy climate and environment. We've supported Climate for Change for a few years now. And at EIS, we've aligned ourselves with Climate for Change because we believe the work that you are doing around raising awareness is crucial. And climate change is a critical environmental issue. And your work is going a long way to address this environmental and social disaster that is looming if we ignore climate change. And I know that the government has policy documents and discussion papers towards developing a cleaner economy, but it's really action that makes a difference. And Climate for Change is taking action at a grassroots level to raise awareness and drive behavioural change in our everyday lives.
Thank you to Ethical Investments, and we're getting some comments through here. And Ailish Lydon said, my taste buds hurt just from watching the Onion Challenge, and I feel that my sense of dignity might have been hurting in a similar way, but you can't say that that's not just good old-fashioned entertainment. I loved it. I can't wait to hear who won that challenge, and God damn it, those people are earning their cash. I think you need to donate to all of their pages. And by the way, speaking of donating, we've raised $32,000, but don't stop now. And I also realize that with the pandemic, of course, so many people are not having an easy time of it financially. So anything you donate tonight, my God, we appreciate it so, so much. So thank you. And now I would like to welcome C4C's Conversation Program Manager, Mike McAvoy.
Hi.
Hey, Mike, how are you going?
Oh, amazing. I'm just pinching myself for so many reasons. I'm incredibly humbled and overwhelmed by the generosity of people tonight donating, and pretty inspired by the onion eaters and all of the volunteers doing work behind the scenes to make tonight possible, including yourself. Thank you so much. It's incredible.
And thank you for sucking up to me, Mike. And you know what?
You do that with a comedian, don't you? As like
Well,
when you, yeah.
It's a way of playing it safe. A nice try. No, Mike, now come on. Let's hear your story. When did you become involved with Climate for Change?
I didn't become involved when I first came across the organisation. I really wanted to sign up as a facilitator when I first heard about it in 2016. But for various reasons, I didn't go that direction at that point in time. But it kind of was like a little worm in my head, and I wouldn't go away, in the sense that I kept thinking about how effective the model could be and how necessary it is. Look, I started fundraising in 2018 with Climate for Change, and I hosted 3 conversations with my family back in Adelaide. So I organised them to host conversations, and I saw this incredible effect of what happened with my family and also the people they invited along to those conversations. My niece, at only 18, divested all of her super and told her friends to do the same. And my mum changed political parties and started handing out how to vote cards.
Oh my God, that's great.
My brother took a bit longer. But he ended up putting solar panels on his roof and has joined up and been really heavily involved in Extinction Rebellion. And my dad and I had some conversations about climate change since then that have, I don't think they would have happened without the conversation, without the Climate for Change conversation. So I really saw the power of the model at that time. And when the job came up to work here, I jumped at it. I was an elected councillor in the city of Yarra, and it meant that I had to resign my position on council to come across and work at Climate for Change. But I jumped at it. I took that kind of scary leap in a way because it made a lot of strategic sense for me. I had seen on council how, even in a really progressive part of town, how we would put forward policies or ideas about how to bring greenhouse gas emissions down in our little part of the world, and they'd often meet a bit of resistance. And it just seems to me that it's so important that we need the community to be really well engaged on this issue. And I wished that there were more people writing letters and turning up at council meetings to demand that we do more. Quite often they were asking that we stop doing things, and that really kind of frustrated me. So yeah, I jumped at the opportunity to come and work here, and I haven't regretted it. It's been an incredible, it's been an incredible 18 months.
And conversation program manager sounds very fancy and very responsible. What do you do exactly?
Yeah, I oversee, and there's only 2 of us working on the conversation program, like as staff, but the volunteer led effort is enormous. So there's over 80 facilitators who are active or still connected with the organisation. We've trained well over 280 over the last few years, and we've got big ambitions to do more in the next little while. So all of those volunteer facilitators need support, and that's the support that we as an organisation provide is through training and through staying in touch with them and all of that sort of stuff. So the conversation program itself involves like hosts. So someone will say, I'd like to host a conversation with 8 or 9 of my friends, and the facilitator that we've trained will go and facilitate that conversation for about 2.5 hours. It'll really deeply engage that group, and they're socially connected with each other, so there's a lot of trust. They'll really talk through the issue, and in that time we've seen incredible impacts of what people will then sign up to do and action that they will be motivated to take after having that conversation about climate change. So yeah.
Sorry, Mike, when you say you've got some big plans, what are they? Like, your plans are some of the things that, you know, I'm assuming we're raising money for.
Exactly, yeah. So we have recently, like earlier this year, we finished an evaluation and a big impact report, which you can check out on our website, which has that going through that process has shown us that the program has been incredibly successful and impactful in what we've been doing in terms of motivating people to action. The evaluation has also given us a whole lot of data and ideas about how we can improve what we do and scale it up to reach more people. And essentially, that's what our plan is over the next 3 years, is to reach 40,000 people. I think Katerina mentioned that, through 3 kind of main areas. So one is to actually share our model with others in the climate movements, and other organisations can replicate and adapt and adopt what we've been doing. And another area is to amplify and make sure that we're training facilitators right across the country, wherever people want to do the facilitator training. So that means we need to have the capacity to do that, basically. We've been mostly in Victoria and in Queensland up until now. And this year we've just started training facilitators in South Australia and in New South Wales as well. And I imagine that pretty shortly we'll be, in all states and territories of Australia. I should say we've got an amazing facilitator in Northern Territory who's taken the model there too. So yeah, we would just want to amplify what we're doing and train lots more people over the next 3 years so that we can reach thousands and thousands more people either side of the next federal election. And we're also looking to strategically focus our work as well. So we're looking to identify a couple of focus areas or impactful communities where we can really shift the political sphere as much as anything to get multi-partisan support for strong climate action.
Well, Mike, I cannot wait to do the facilitator course and to be a part of all of that. And in terms of how the donations are going, we're now up to $35,000, which is just incredible. So I cannot believe that. Mike, just before you go, any last kind of words to help people make the plunge and donate?
Well, look, my stepkids just walked into the room and offered me an onion, so I'll eat one at the end of the night if we reach an even more stretch target. So if we get to 40, I will eat an onion as well at the end of the night. I'll be eating an onion live in the last bit of the night. No, I would just say this issue is so important, and if you can't give time, then money is a great way of supporting the work that we do. And if you can't give money, then time is another really great way. We really are an awesome community, so please get involved with Climate for Change in whatever way you can.
Amazing, Mike. Thank you so much for what you're doing. It's just incredible work, and I can't believe we're up to $35,000. And now I believe it's time to go back to that weasel in the kitchen, Simon Toohey. Simon, who at one point I quite liked, and now I just feel very, very differently about him. What are you up to? It's not that I really care, but what are you doing?
You're totally up to me. I don't know how you can not like me now. You should be just brushing off the skills or the skills shoulder and moving. It's so good. So I have everything in the pot, and we've been simmering away. I mean, I don't know if anyone's noticed, but something's changed in the kitchen. I'll see if I find out what that is. But I'm just going to season my broth. And if we can come, I don't know if we can get a little closer, but I've got everything in here. So I've got my peppers, I've got my squash, I've got my cavallonera, I've got my chickpeas and my stock. And now I've just seasoned with a little bit of salt and pepper. Quite simply, we're going to make this as simple as we possibly can. I've got bay leaves in there, but if you've got any spare spices lying about, I'm a big fan of things like cumin seeds, coriander seeds, anything like that, just to boost, amp up your flavor in any way possible.
I mean,
and then finally,
sorry, Simon, I was going to say, I know you were a finalist on MasterChef, but it does seem like you were just chucking a whole bunch of stuff in and that anyone could do it. Is that right?
Isn't that what cooking is?
Now you tell me.
No, I think the purpose of this whole environment, I think my thoughts on this whole thing was to make this as simple as possible, because I'm not going to be there with you to hold your hand or help you out or talk you through it so much as to say, what I want to do is use as many vegetables as we possibly can, put them in the most amazing set of broth or stock or whatever you've got at home with chickpeas, and then you can have this as a nourishing bowl of soup at the end of the night or stew. I couldn't think of anything better than after coming home after a long day of work and knowing that I can have that and it's at hand at any time. And if you've got leftovers, throw it in the fridge, throw it in the freezer. You can have it for the day after. It keeps really, really well.
No, Simon, I know I may have referred to you as a weasel, but I know that I probably speak for quite a few people when I say that sometimes I find the idea of cooking a bit intimidating. So actually, it is great to see someone who is as skilled as you, just putting things in a pot and going, just if you got stuff, chuck it in. If you got leftovers, just chuck them in. Just don't waste.
Totally.
You can avoid it.
That's exactly right. And it really is all about not wasting that food. And even though my world is cooking, I absolutely adore it. When I come home from work, the last thing I really want to do is think about how I'm going to create something new and different and unusual or whatever it's going to be. And sometimes this kind of food is what really nourishes the soul. And if I want to support local producers, putting in 6 or 7 different types of locally grown veg is the best way to do that. I'm also jumping over to people like the Source Bulk Foods who supply an amazing amount of grains, like in this case, chickpeas. And it's a really good source of protein in that sense as well. So I don't know, I suppose in some ways I could have done something a little bit more technical and crazy, but I also believe this is kind of what I'm after.
Oh no, Simon, that was just me insulting you. What you're doing is perfect. And in fact, one of the many comments we've had from Sunny is how fantastic it all looks. So thank you, Simon.
Oh, good.
We'll do anything else before we check in with you next time?
Look, to be fair, we're ready and rolling. I mean, I think just take the lid off now. Oh, hold on, the dog's about to take the dog's about to eat the computer. Thanks, George. So I think take the lid off, bring it back to that simmer, and let's reduce it down by another quarter. And you are ready to go. Keep tasting. Make sure the seasoning is good. Everyone's stock is a little different, so sometimes some are salty than others. So keep tasting. And then when we're going to finish off at the very end, next time I see you, a beautiful bit of lemon to finish off, some parsley and some basil.
Thank you so much, Simon. We'll come back to you soon. And right now, I believe it's time for some music. Don't forget, we've still got Egg Boy, aka Will Connolly, coming up, Damon Gameau and Sarah Wilson. But now it's time to hear from the wonderful Felix Riebel, best known as the lead singer of the Cat Empire, one of Australia's most enduring bands and most in-demand live musical exports. He's recently released a solo album, Black Room, White Walls. Here is the fabulous Felix.
Hi everyone, I'm Felix. I'm here to play a song tonight in support of Climate for Change. If you can, dig deep and give to this fundraiser. This is a song called No Longer There I wrote back in 2009, and as with all things climate change related, I guess it's as relevant as ever. Okay. I know you'd like to hear a song, sings everything's alright. The temperature is warm, the fire horses sleep, so gently comes the night. Now close your eyes and stare, the ground they're on is bare. Once it was as deep and wild as giants' dreams. It's no longer there, and all of our desires could mirror skies with flames and smoke out heaven's halls. Now who was that you called, and no longer there? Here it goes again, here it goes again, here it goes again. What would you leave behind when all your fields are dead, when your territories are dried out and your cities drowned and swept? What would you leave behind when those who bear your name are born in that place that you wrecked? What would you leave behind when you're no longer there? Now would you sail to distant shores and hide within the haze and softly close your door? Pretend the world was saved, or wait for heaven's call? Or would you turn and face the seas and calm beside your care? There's chance, but if you dare, as swift as on a steeds before it's no longer there. Here it goes again, oh, here it goes again, oh, here it goes again. What would you leave behind when all your fields are dead, or when your territories are dried out and your cities drowned and swept? What would you leave behind when those who bear your name are born in that place that you wrecked? What would you leave behind when you're no longer there? To deny or to despair, they're really just the same, and everything between. It means we have to change, 'cause when anyone forgets, the world begins to fade, and all the shapes and shades that made their colors see, well, they suddenly turn gray, and then they're no longer there.
Thank you so much, Felix. And oh my God, I'm very excited because we're going to do a target update, and I think it's going to be very good news. Are we bringing that slide up? Look at that, people, $37,844. Oh my God, that is amazing. Katerina's kids are really going to have to come up with some other way to torture her. We've got the water, we've got Mike eating a raw onion. I think we might even need another target. This is just crazy. And don't forget, you've got the amazing thank you gifts that you can claim until 6 o'clock tomorrow. Don't forget as well, you've got the coffee catch-ups. You can go on the draw to have a little Zoom catch-up with me, with Sarah Wilson, with Damon Gameau, with Simon Toohey, even though he's a weasel. So actually don't give his page too much love. And of course, Will Connolly, or even Connolly. We're getting some great comments coming through too. Someone just made the point that the council elections are coming up in Victoria, and research your candidates and vote for those who will act on climate change, which is a really fantastic idea. Big thank you to all the major sponsors who have now forked out $2,500 each, which is amazing. And let's hear now from one of them, from PowerShop.
As part of your event tonight, sorry about my little friend who's here working from home. You might see her hand. So PowerShop is super thrilled to be a part of your event. We are Australia's greenest power company. So we're also the only power company in Australia to be accredited 100% carbon neutral by the Australian government. So our entire mission is about creating a better energy future for Australia and Australians. Our parent company are one of Australasia's largest generators of renewable energy. So they're generating just from wind and hydro in Australia and pumping that into the grid. And then obviously PowerShop is our brand that is sort of the face for our customers. So there's plenty of great things about our brand. For those of you who are already a customer, you may have had some wonderful customer experience from us, or you may have just learnt that we're really great humans trying to be a part of a positive change in Australia as well. You know, there's plenty of groups out there doing fantastic stuff, but you know, we really see some of the conversations that you guys are able to have and some of the grassroots kind of work that you're able to do as something that maybe we can't do, or we can't kind of lend our minds to. So we're really passionate about supporting groups like your own. And I know what it's like to be sort of part of a smaller group. And so we like being a part of it with you.
And now I believe we're going back to Simon in the kitchen, which is of course the line I just never tire of saying. There you go, Simon. Simon, what are you up to, you crazy cat?
I'm just living up to your expectations of being a weasel.
Hats off to you, Mr. Toohey. Hey, listen, one of the comments that came through was they wanted to know what stock you used. I know you said it was vegetable stock, but any more info?
Yeah, it's just a vegetable stock that I've made from all my frozen ingredients from the freezer. I mean, you can use any stock. You can use stock cubes and just fill it full of water. That's do the water side of things. You can use, if you're not a plant-based eater, you can use chicken stock, anything like that. So about 1.5 liters of stock in this, and then you're going to reduce it back down to about 1 liter, just so you can get all those flavors going.
Hey, Simon, are there any, I mean, as you say, this is such a simple dish that you're making now where you can really just chuck just about anything in. Are there any other dishes that are a bit like that?
Yeah. I'm a really massive fan at the moment of that sort of like one pot wonder, and I know it's not a new thing, but it is something new that is kind of new to me. But I love this dish, I've got my grandmother's old casserole dish with a lid on. I mean, you can use a small pot as well, but you put rice at the bottom with a bit of oil, some saffron if you have some. Again, chopped up vegetables of any sort, some leek on top of that, and then you fill it full of stock, put the lid on, and put it in the oven for 40 minutes, and then you pull it out, and all the rice is just soaked up, all those flavors, all the sweating of the vegetables you put in there, all that has obviously leached out with the stock as it gets hotter, and that is also soaked up inside that rice. And so you got different layers of flavor throughout the whole thing. It's great, and it's literally bung it all in, pour the stock on, put it in the oven, come back 40 minutes later after telling the kids to get off it, and then and serve up dinner.
Well, that sounds absolutely delicious. Hey, Simon, I know you already mentioned a couple of vegetables that people, we throw out stalks, but is there a vegetable that would surprise us? Is there a vegetable that we all use just only a fraction of, that we could just use all of it?
Yeah, in fact, leeks are one of those. I mean, leeks we've always been told, and even spring onions in some ways, you know, we only cut off the white bit, the bottom third, you know, and so the top part of the end is definitely usable. I mean, you can use that for stocks, of course, we've discussed that. But if you wash it, because it does get a lot of grit in it, if you wash it and cut it really, really finely, you can make, you know, leek pancakes in the morning, or savory pancakes is one of my favorites. Fold that through a beautiful sort of batter, and then fry it and get it really nice and crispy in a beautiful amount of oil. You can dehydrate them if you want to get super fancy. Or one of my favorite things to do is actually roast them in the oven until they get super black and dark, and then blitz it with some oil. And you've got this amazing black, black onion oil. And that really goes well on top of soups as a seasoning. I know it sounds strange, and don't eat it raw. You have to try it before you knock it, sort of thing. But it's one of my favorite things to go.
Simon, I'm actually salivating. And in fact, it's difficult for me because I've got a lot of conflicting emotions. On the one hand, I'm telling people you're a weasel, so they won't go to your fundraising page. And on the other hand, I kind of want to marry you. So it's difficult for me. Can you believe it? We've now raised $40,000, Simon. So this is just incredible.
I'm in awe. I am in absolute awe. I mean, the one thing I'm definitely not going to do is eat an onion. That is just crazy talk. And the people that did that, I mean, golly gosh. But I will offer a cooking class, that's for sure. So, you know, don't worry about Judith Lucy. She may be on the screen most of the time, but look at this weasel right here. This weasel, you know.
I said I wanted to marry you. I thought we were building a bridge, Simon. But
I know.
We are going to come back to you one more time. But do we need to know anything about what's happening right now?
I feel as though I actually made this a little bit too simple, because really there's not much to go. Make sure, again, you have your lemon ready, your beautiful herbs that you're going to put on top, and I'll have a plate and a bowl. Well, I won't have a plate, they'll all fall off the side. I'll have a bowl ready to serve up at the very, very end.
All right, brilliant. Thanks so much,
Thanks
Simon.
so much.
And now we are going to go to another one of Katarina's amazing interviews. This time we're going to be hearing from Rebecca Huntley, who is one of Australia's most experienced social researchers. Rebecca's sixth and most recent book, How to Talk About Climate Change in a Way That Makes a Difference, is touted as a guide to understanding ourselves and each other as we face the climate crisis. Wow, that sounds like something we all really need. Here we go. Let's hear from Katarina and Rebecca Huntley.
So great to be talking to you again. It's always a pleasure. You know that we're huge fans of your work and your recent book, which is all about how to have effective conversations about climate change. So I'd love to hear from you. Why do you think it's so important to have these conversations about climate change?
Well, the research shows us that, you know, there are lots of different groups in Australia in terms of how we respond to climate change. So for people like you and I, who are really focused on climate change, really alarmed, we don't find it that hard to have conversations. We're comfortable sharing stuff about climate change on social media. And interestingly, on the other end of the spectrum, people who are deniers, and there are far fewer of them than us, which is good, but they also feel quite confident talking about climate change and sharing that information. But everybody in between, people who are alarmed and people who are, you know, doubtful and dismissive, all of those people who worry about climate change, believe it's real and care about it and want something to happen, they find it hard to talk about it with friends and family, colleagues. They're, you know, anxious about sharing that on social media. And so we need to break the climate silence, because we need to activate the vast majority of Australians who care about climate change, get them talking about it so it becomes something that's visible to people, both as a crisis but as something normal to talk about. And in doing that, we're going to really expand and diversify the numbers of people and the types of people talking about climate change, which is critically important too. We need lots of different messengers that all look very different from different walks of life if we're really going to make climate change relevant to everyone.
Thank you so much. It's great to hear that we're on the right track with that. And, you know, I'd love to ask you so many more questions, but in the short period of time, there's so much wisdom in your book. And I would encourage anyone watching who hasn't already to go out and buy it and read it. And we'll put the details on the screen for everyone. But if there was just sort of one thing that you learned from writing your book that you'd want to share with people tonight, what would that be?
Well, it's not in the book, but it's certainly a really big takeaway from having written the book and having talked to a lot of climate activists around Australia. And that is you are already powerful. You already have the skills, the networks, the relationships to really talk about climate change and begin to bring climate change into your life. So one of the things I really love about C4C is that it's that kind of wonderful Tupperware model of just bringing together groups of people who already know each other in real life, maybe through hobbies or schools, or they're all in the same neighbourhood. So people with already existing social ties, trust, networks, coming together to talk about climate change really brings something that for many people is a very big, scary, global, amorphous issue that makes them feel powerless. It brings it into people's lives and makes it feel relevant and makes it feel like they can make a contribution in their own way. So I always say to people when they come to me and say, I want to do stuff on climate change, I say, look, you don't necessarily have to, join Greenpeace or completely change your life, although if you would like to do those things, go ahead, join C4C, get involved certainly in that way. But think about the things you're already doing, the job you're doing, the places you go, the clubs and community organisations you're part of, and think about how you can raise the climate issue within that context. So yeah, we're already powerful, you're powerful, I'm powerful, we're much more powerful together, and that's really how we're going to address climate change as a community, as a country, and as a global, as a globe.
Thank you so much, Rebecca Huntley. And that is such a great thing to remember. You are already powerful. It's so easy to forget that there's stuff that we can all do. And you know what you can do right now? You can donate. And speaking of that, let's have a target update because it's so exciting. Oh my God, we are now up to $40,850. Get out of here, Australia, mainly Melbourne. Well done. That is just so incredible, but let's not stop now. Don't forget, you can still go in the draw for the coffee catch-ups. Someone called Marta said she was so excited to go in the draw to have a coffee with Simon. Well, it's all about Simon, isn't it? Who wants to get a coffee catch-up with me? And Damon Gameau and Sarah Wilson, and of course, Egg Boy. Let's not forget Egg Boy. I'm very excited about him. And don't forget that if you donate $100 or more, you can also claim up until 6 o'clock tomorrow an amazing thank you gift. And let's check those out right now.
2005 at the National Gallery of Australia's Vivienne Westwood retrospective, Alpha 60 has famously woven itself into the fabric of Australian fashion through a fresh take on classic styles and cuts and a celebrated, sophisticated quirk. As a company, they constantly look to improve the sustainability of their processes and practices, reducing single-use plastics by 90% in the past 12 months. They have 8 boutiques across Australia in Melbourne, Sydney and Perth. Crumpler designs unique and sturdy bags and luggage. From Melbourne's laneways to the world's highways and airways, Crumpler is driven by new ideas and doing things better in their own unique way. Their conversion range, released in 2019, is all made from 7 tonnes of polyester scrap and cut-offs to reduce their footprint. Fitzroy Nursery is a small but vibrant business situated in the heart of Fitzroy for over 30 years. The wide array of plants and more on offer, along with the ideals of sustainability, make the business what it is. They support local artists and growers, as well as ethically sourcing all stock that is sold. The owners are committed to aligning with the values of sustainability and minimal impact on the environment, which can be seen in all aspects of the business.
Oh yeah, it's time for another challenge. But we didn't tell you who won the first one, and we all got very excited about the onion eating. Catalina came first, Cameron came second, Aria came third, and Nick came fourth. But now it's time for the most mystifying challenge of the night, in my opinion, because it's the bird challenge, where people are, yes, dressing up as birds. Don't forget to vote for your favourite bird using the emojis. There's like for Tennille the magpie, I, love for Ailish the Rosella, love for Chris the Cockatoo, and wow for Katie the Galah. Remember, Property Collectives and V2 Food will be donating to their fundraiser pages. Let's all be mystified together. Here's the bird challenge.
Ailish, and I'm fundraising for Climate for Change because I want future generations to experience the beauty of our country the way that I've been able to.
Hello to fellow bird buddies. I'm Kate and I'm fundraising to present the destruction of our habitat.
I'm Chris and I'm fundraising because we need to talk about this issue.
And I'm Tennille. I'm fundraising for Climate for Change to make sure that our future generations can fly around and experience the world as I have.
Tonight we're doing a dress-up challenge to see who can be the best bird, and everyone watching tonight gets to decide who wins. So I'll go first. Tonight I am a crimson rosella.
Ooh, what beautiful plumage.
Why, thank you.
I'm a galah. Any other galahs out there?
Flaming galahs. I'm a cockatoo. Sulphur crescent cockatoo.
Oh, Chris, you look like you're having a hoot of a time, but I'm going to swoop in as your resident magpie. I'm sure you've run into me on your way to the supermarket.
Thankfully, I've never been swooped by a magpie. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
We have a global problem that everybody is wisening up to now. When there's 10 billion people on the planet, we just cannot afford to eat the amount of meat that we're eating. V2 Food is trying to solve that problem, and with the help of CSIRO, we've produced plant-based meat that's both delicious and nutritious and affordable.
By making meat directly from plants, we can produce far more food while taking less resources from the planet and putting carbon back in the ground. Better yet, with sustainable farming practices, we can encourage biodiversity while increasing the soil's capacity to house carbon from the atmosphere.
Plant-based meat is one of the things that you can really do to make a change that's going to be good for you and good for the planet.
Thanks so much to V2 Food and to the birds. And now I am delighted to introduce this next woman because without her, I wouldn't be here tonight. It is the fabulous Deb Punton. Are you there, Deb?
Hi, Jude. I am here. And yeah, thank you.
Oh, it's so good to see you. Now, of course, you and I met because I started volunteering at the Eco Centre at the St Kilda Botanical Gardens. And then I had a nature experience with you where essentially I went on a date with a tree and you introduced me to C4C. You facilitated an evening at your home, which was just fantastic. So I am indebted to you. But can you tell me a bit about how you got to get involved with Climate for Change and how you became a facilitator?
Yeah, I was doing some research and studies into climate change because I was concerned what's happening to our planet and all the beautiful places and the animals. And what I found out made me really scared and frustrated because I didn't think there was any action going on. And I actually got really depressed and anxious about it. And so I looked up and did more research about what do climate scientists do to, maintain their well-being, knowing what they know, and found out that one of the things was that constructive actions that focused on a solution rather than the problems seemed to be something that was a great antidote for despair. So I immediately went online again and searched around, found Climate for Change, and signed up straight away. I didn't know what to expect or anything, and just thought this looks like something that I can do. It was a challenge for sure, and it still is because I'm not usually that outgoing. So yeah, I found out and just joined up to be a facilitator.
And talk me through it. What's that been like? What have you gained from being a facilitator? Has it been an inspiring thing to do?
It's been really wonderful. So I've gone into people's homes with their families and friends, and we watch a video, we have time to discuss it and talk about how we're feeling and our concerns. And then we finish up with empowering actions that people can take. And often they'll take them as their friendship groups or families, or join one of our MP engagement groups in our local area. It's been really rewarding going into their homes and working with people, and just meeting so many different people that are concerned, and me knowing that there's a lot of people out there that are concerned, but sometimes they just don't know what to do.
Have a lot of people just been really relieved, to actually sit down and have these conversations, and to not only talk about what they can do, but maybe just to share, their despair or their feelings of being overwhelmed?
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people would say, oh, I just felt that I had no one to talk to because I'd bring them down, or it was like the elephant in the room if I said anything. And people could talk about how they were feeling too, which was for some people the first time they've ever said it, because they were concerned about who to tell it to, who to and that whole thing about bringing other people down was a big thing too. And also trying to understand and make sense of your emotions. It's like people just say, I'm on a roller coaster, and even in one day I could be on this emotional roller coaster with how I'm feeling about it. And a new bit of news comes out, and all of a sudden, boo, crash. So people were relieved to be able to talk about it. And I really loved how we had some activists from the 70s who, kind of became despondent, and all of a sudden they're getting fired up again. And that's been really great to see.
And it sounds like, just from what you're saying even there, that it's a really varied bunch of people. I mean, do you see all ages, all sorts of, from all sorts of backgrounds?
Yeah, we don't generally work with under the about 18 age group, because we can't really follow on with support that might be needed on that emotional level, and we can't really work with the understanding that they have. So I've had conversations right up to people in their 80s. The diversity is huge now that we're online with Zoom, because we're just getting a wider range of people, and also different, a huge variety of work environments or students, or it's just shifted the types of people that are coming into the conversations, and that's been really interesting to see.
Oh, fantastic. And what's even more fantastic, Deb, is we are now up to $44,000. And before you go, any words to keep people donating? Why should they get on board?
Yeah, look, I think people do want to do something meaningful in this sphere. They want to feel they can contribute. And some people have time and some people have money. But yeah, I think with this being a fundraiser, we really need to keep having these kind of conversations with friends and families, and let that ripple out into our communities. And then that ripple effect can just magnify, and hopefully we can, head towards restoring our planet to a safer climate.
That's a great way of putting it, Deb. And you are going to be my mentor when I do the facility course, so I'm very much looking forward to that. Thanks so much, Deb. I'll be seeing you soon. Hopefully, maybe in person one day. You never know. Thanks, Deb.
Thank you.
It's time for another one of Katerina's really fantastic interviews, and I'm very excited because now we're going to see her chatting to Damon Gameau, of course, Australian author and award-winning film director. 2040, Damon's latest film, is a letter to his 4-year-old daughter, showing her what the future would look like by the year 2040 if we embrace the best climate solutions already available to us to improve our planet. If you haven't seen this, it's great. It's really inspiring. It's really uplifting. And one of the many things I love about it is he really underlines how important gender equality is when it comes to taking action on climate change. He also wrote a book to accompany the film. Let's have a look at Katerina and Damon Gameau. Here they are.
For those who don't know, it's a really beautiful and inspiring film about an alternative future, one where we actually fix climate change. And I guess my first question is just, what prompted you to make that film in the first place?
Yeah, thanks, Kat. Lovely to be here. It's a number of things. It's hard to sort of pin it down to one thing, but pretty much being a parent was the initial driver, and being acutely aware that I didn't have the communication tools for my own daughter about the things we could do. I knew exactly what was wrong and how dire the predictions were, but I really wanted to have a sense of being able to talk to her about the people that are trying to fix these things and rolling up their sleeves and getting on with it. So that was one aspect. And the other aspect was that I just was aware that the visioning we were using around our future was inherently dystopic. Any Hollywood film, it was, there was never any nature in the future. It was always sort of dark, robotic type of worlds. And I just thought, these are the images we're putting into the subconscious of our children. And if we're not careful, we'll march into that vision, because that's just what we're embedding. So I just wanted to offer an alternative there and say, it doesn't have to be that. We can actually have a very different future. And to frame this problem that we're facing, not as a story of depravity and sacrifice and surrendering, but actually saying our lives could actually be better off, less frenetic, more empowered communities, more sovereignty around food and energy, cleaner air, cleaner soils. I mean, what's not to like? So let's start trying to tell that story and get people excited about the opportunity that lies on the other side of this crisis.
You showcase many solutions, and I know you've looked at others as well. Can you tell us one or two that were really got you inspired and excited?
Sure. Yeah, I think the solutions that surprised me, that I really fell in love with, were the biological technologies, the working with practices that nature's already been doing for millions of years. So often we talk about this idea of fighting climate change, when really it's about working with nature. We are nature, and let's actually work with it to turn these things around. So whether that's the sequestration story into our soils or into our seaweed, just obviously dealing with the carbon is one aspect, but then seeing when we do that, all the cascading benefits that we get from that were just really beautiful for me, whether that was in improving the health of our food by the quality of our soil improving, or retaining water, especially in this country, or the seaweed, the alkalizing of the ocean, creating habitats for fish, using that seaweed for healthy food and other materials. Just so many multiple benefits from working with nature. It's right there, calmly waiting for us just to get over ourselves, get out of the way and embrace it again and say, I can help you turn this around very easily. I've been doing it for a long time. I've operated in these cycles. I'm right here. Don't worry about building your big high-tech sucking carbon machines on the edge of cities. Work with what we've already got and you'll get all these benefits along with the ride. So to me, they're the ones I really am passionate about and want to keep promoting.
And I just have one more question for you, which is, what do you think everyday people can do? They're not politicians, they're not scientists, not millionaires. What can we do that you think is going to be most effective?
The most important thing is to get away from a sense of being prescriptive with this stuff. I think for years we've sort of said to people, should eat less meat and ride your bike to work and check your energy in your house, and all that is valid. But if it doesn't line with your own passions and interests and the things that light you up, then it's going to be a lot harder to engage with and see through. So I'd encourage anyone to find that thing that they really resonate with. It might be energy, or it might be girls' education, or it might be agriculture or food. There are so many entry points and options that are available for people now. It's just making sure that they align with your own passions. But more to the point, what you do in your work is just so crucial, because I think it's about having conversations. We are still so scared to talk about this issue. And even within our own friends and our own family, and we're seeing right around the world now, we've got California on fire, we've got another hurricane hitting the States, floods right through Asia and Europe. I mean, the planet is giving us feedback everywhere. And the climate movement will be the largest movement the humanity's ever seen. It might not be right now, but the weather's not going to change. It's not going to let up. So more and more people are going to join that as the weather shows us what's going on. So you may as well get involved now and be an early adopter, because it's going to be all the rage in the next few years. And we need you right now. The earth is hiring, and it needs foot soldiers to at least talk about it and shine a light on these problems that are happening.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's been really great.
No worries. And congratulations on all your work, Kat, and happy to keep supporting. And it's so important, and congratulations.
Thanks so much to Damon Gameau. And now it's back to that weasel in the kitchen for the very last time. Simon, how are you?
I'm good. I kind of just realized when I show you my whiskers that I don't even know what a weasel looks like. And apparently I think it's more like a cat.
You do look a little bit more feline, but you know what? Either way, you look as cute as a bug's ear. And I think that's the main thing. Now, Simon, I actually wanted to pick up on something Damon said, because he said when it comes to climate change, it's all about just finding your thing, working out how you can make a difference. And I mean, that's obviously what you've done, which is so amazing. So, you know, the fact that you have embarked on this journey, that you are trying to make people change the way they cook. I mean, not only are you doing something amazing, but that must make you feel pretty great.
It does help me wake up in the morning and know that there's something good coming towards me during that day, something to work towards. And I think the funny thing about this, and I adore 2040. I mean, what a film. I've seen it a multiple amount of times at the cinema. Again, at home, I've taken notes and notes of it, pretty much, you know, written the whole script out as well. I'm going to be the one having coffee with Damon for sure. And of course you, Judith. But I think I really am. But what I love about this is what he said is I actually don't even know where to start or which way I'm going. I have a thought process. I have an understanding. I have what I've read and what I've learned and what I hear. And I don't know whether I'm going in the exact right direction that's going to make the best change right away. But what I feel is that I'm doing is I'm making that first step. I'm taking that first conversation. And I'm actually starting to get myself out of what was the traditional the comfort zone of normality of that Groundhog Day, same thing every single day, and starting to stretch my mental limits, my physical limits, and what I know when it comes to climate change. And that's all we can really ask. And it's what Damon sort of said. Unless you're doing something you really love in that area, then you're never really going to continue doing it. It's always going to be a fad in some ways. And I think this, I've now found a sort of a direction where I want to be. And now I'm going to continuously make mistakes and be okay with making mistakes, but be proud that I'm with a group of beautiful human beings making mistakes together towards what is going to be a beautiful, bright future when we start making those changes in the right direction.
Simon, I just reckon that is bang on. It really is a matter of just taking that first step. And I mean, that was kind of my story too. I started volunteering at my local eco centre. I met Deb. That's how I found out about Climate for Change. And and it's amazing how much better you feel when you just do something and you have no idea what's going to happen once you take that first step. Who knew that I would be hanging crap on you tonight, Simon Toohey, and that would never have happened if I hadn't taken the first step. It's brought us together.
I'm glad we met. I'm really glad we met. Thank you, Climate for Change, for this wonderful opportunity. I have not laughed this much in quite some time. And I feel as though I've created some good friends.
Oh, that's, well, right back at you, Simon. And also without, blowing too much smoke up your ass, I have been getting a number of comments here going, how great everything looks that you're cooking, how excited people are to be in the draw to get a coffee catch-up / cooking class with you. And I did get a question too. They wanted to know how hot your oven is. And I've made that sound a little sexual. And yet I think they really do just want a temperature.
Yeah, look, I think a classic rule of thumb for temperature of the oven is about 180. If you're going to be doing anything in the oven, 180. If you have no idea what the recipe is, it's a good spot to start. So I'd say 180 for this. If you're going to oven cook it, lid on, lid off is up to you. But you've got to understand that if you have the lid off, liquid will reduce. Lid on, liquid will stay the same. So it depends on how you want to go with this story, and it's totally fine either which way. I think the best way to find out what the end result's going to be is just to constantly taste it.
And I did get other comments, sorry, Simon, just basically saying that they felt that they'd put too much in their pot. Is there that, or is that even a problem?
It's not a problem, because if I could get a closer one, all I've got now, I mean, if they got literally zero liquid left, just get a bit more stock and fill it up. That's a great way to sort of to fix that problem. Because reducing liquid, it doesn't matter if you reduce it too much, because all you have to do is top it back up and you'll have the same result. You're creating basically a secondary vegetable stock on top of the stock you've already put in there. It's a really cool way to create flavor. But if I can get the camera I'm gonna get my amazing partner to be camera person here and look in. So I am literally full to the top with vegetables. Can you see that?
Oh my
So
God,
there's
that
only a little bit of liquid.
delicious.
Yeah, so if I dig in, I've got my squash here, I've got my lentils that are really broken down. All this Cavallero and sort of like if you had Swiss chard or if you had kale, that's all gone all soft. And this actually, although people always think, you know, you have to keep it really light and vibrant, it's bollocks. Cook it, because the longer you cook this, the more flavor it's going to bring. Yeah, I think it's getting a bit heavy. Thank you so much. And those tomatoes have broken down. It's really absolutely beautiful. The onions have fallen apart and sweet and soft. And what I'm going to do, have I got permission to start plating up? Is that what we're ready to do? Is there any more questions I can answer?
No, go for it.
All right, simple bowl. Don't care what your bowl is. Go nuts. You know, just not a plate. That'll be a bit weird. And I am serving up. I've got bits of broken down tomato in there. I've got a lot of chickpeas. I've got a lot of greens. I've got a bit of that old celery. Not old celery. I've got a bit of the celery in there and some of that parsley. And I've made this gorgeous. You know, can I do that camera again? I know it's a pain in the bum, but I know. I'm sorry. That's Georgia, by the way. She's amazing. So this is what I've got. The colors change. There's reddish hues from all the tomatoes that we cooked down at the very start. And then finally, I have some chopped up parsley, putting over the top. Great. Beautiful amount of it. I love basil. So that can go in whole, because as soon as it hits liquid, it'll start to wilt, because it's a really soft herb, kind of like that baby spinach. And then of course, if you don't have one of these little micro planes, you can probably just use maybe like the graters of a cheese grater, but you want really small bits of lemon zest. The smaller, the better. You can leave that out if you want to. That's no issue at all. But I'm going to put it on the top, because what we haven't got here is a lot of acidity, a lot of salt for texture, but acidity. And then finally, if you haven't got a zester, just cut your lemon in half and, you know, juice it over the top. And that's going to give pops of flavors. You got really nice sort of like crunch from those gorgeous vegetables and the chickpeas, but then acidity and sweetness from all the slow cooking of all the vegetables as well. And that to me, and ready, I'm going to do this. Whoop. No, wait, I'll let you say that. There we go. Perfect. That to me is a gorgeous, gorgeous, hearty bowl. And if you're in Melbourne, you know it's still cold. So that's going to be just as good in winter as it is in summer in some other places.
And can I say, just seeing some of the comments that are coming through, people are agreeing with you. They're just saying that looks fantastic and incredibly wholesome. And someone also made the point that they're very much enjoying your costume changes. So
yes!
Nothing is being lost on our amazing audience. And we now are up to $47,000, Simon. So thank you so much for your contribution. And any last words? I mean, amazing work tonight. I'm going to encourage everyone, including myself, to tune into Sustainable Earth Network. But I don't know, any last words to keep people donating?
Look, of course, I think absolutely anything obviously counts. We know this. However, I've got another little deal here that I'm sure Judith can't top. I will cook whatever you ask me to cook. How does that sound? If we do our cooking date, if you want me to make crazy pasta, I'll make crazy pasta. If you want me to do any dessert, I'm with you. You know, you and me, 30 minutes.
You know what, Simon? I'll cook whatever they ask for too. I just simply won't do it well.
Okay, competition's on. The challenge is now. The biggest amount of money you raise against Judith and I, and of course everyone should be getting donations for as well. But Judith and I, whoever wins, has to cook whatever the other person asks for. So Judith, you're now cooking.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, you know, it's better than eating an onion. Or is it?
Yeah, or is it?
Well, Simon, I don't even know what I'm agreeing to, but I'm just going to say fabulous. Thank you, everyone in your living room. A big round of applause for Simon Toohey. Thank you so much, Simon. Amazing work. Please, everyone, tune in to Sustainable Earth Network. I'm going to try and teach myself how to cook before I now apparently have to cook for someone. I think it's time for a Target check-in. Oh my God, look at that. $47,000, $757. I am just going to make love to each and every person who's donated. And I'm sorry if that's a bit creepy, but that's how excited I am. But let's not stop now. The night's not done. Don't forget, you can go in the draw for a coffee catch up with me or what's his name from the kitchen. Sarah Wilson, the fantastic Damon Gameau. We're yet to hear from Egg Boy. And of course, if you donate $100 or more, there are still amazing thank you gifts that you can claim. And in fact, let's have a look at some of those now.
Years, Enjo has been changing the way people clean their homes, replacing harsh chemicals and disposable products with reusable fibre technology. Enjo provides effective cleaning products for all rooms of the home and is designed to be quick, easy and sustainable. From how the products are made to where they end up, Enjo considers their impact on the planet at every step. Mud is an award-winning Australian ceramics homeware brand with sustainable design in their DNA. The porcelain range, designed by Shelley Simpson, combines handmade processes, clean lines, colour palettes and functionality. The end result is a product that neatly intersects a minimalist aesthetic with an artisanal finish. All new additions to their range are designed to be useful and match existing designs. Their packaging is 100% recyclable and compostable, and they're working towards becoming carbon neutral by the end of 2020. Ahimsa Collective is an ethical, sustainable, and cruelty-free vegan accessories brand. They produce handbags out of existing resources, would-be waste, and innovative plant-based textiles. They believe it is no longer enough to avoid causing damage to the planet. They need to actively reverse it, donating $5 from every sale to fight climate change.
I think it's time for some music. So now it is time for me to introduce the wonderful Cella. She's an Australian Filipino artist, musician, songwriter, producer, and filmmaker. In 2019, she surpassed 20 million streams across her catalogue and released her second EP, Delivery, to much acclaim. Let's hear from the wonderful Cella.
Hi everyone. It's a pleasure to support Climate for Change in the amazing work that they do and their Online-a-thon, which I hope you can donate to. And please enjoy this song of mine that I wrote recently called Dark World. 1, 2, 3, 4. Call me a dreamer, I'm turning the beat up. They say we should listen, but the same old rhetoric is turning me gothic. I'd rather pretend that it's not. Just for a minute, virtual vision of you in the kitchen. Yeah, think I can make out the way it would go down when our time comes around. So stay where you are, and I swear I won't be long, but it's a dark world. And let's not be happy, we'll dance it out together when the earth turns again. Quick to feel helpless, I slowly assess what it means to be sheltered in. Never felt so humble to live from a bubble, looking out from it. So I put my shirt on and lay on the lawn, eating flowers. Almost taste this place erasing, the future's racing in. So stay where you are, and I swear I won't be long, but it's a dark world. And let's not be heavy, we'll dance it out together when the earth turns again. And count on your luck, and we'll use up all the stars to light this dark world. And let's not be heavy, we'll dance it out together when the earth turns again. Again. Oh, again. So stay where you are, and I swear I won't be long, but it's a dark world. And let's not be heavy, we'll dance it out together when the earth turns again. And count on your luck, and we'll use up all the stars to light this dark world. And let's not be heavy, we'll dance it out together when the earth turns again, again, oh, again, again. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Chella, and thank you, Chris the Cockatoo, because he won the bird challenge. Kate came second, Ailish came third, and Neil came fourth. Now, you might have noticed that this little setup we've got happening, it's a bit better than Zoom. This has all been put together by Simpatico, and to tell us a bit more about that, I'd like to welcome Lee Constable.
Hello.
Hey, Lee, how are you doing?
Oh, great. Just enjoying the show from behind the scenes, pushing the buttons and having a good laugh at you and Simon, really.
There was some real electricity there. It's really something.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for everything that you've been doing. I just look at this whole Simpatico setup and freak out. And I think you've seen that firsthand as I made many mistakes before we got started tonight. I'd press a button and everything would go to crap. But can you tell us what Simpatico is exactly?
Oh, look, you've been nothing but a professional. It's been amazing. But the Simpatico team, you may not know, they're behind the scenes. They're doing a lot of the tech production, the graphics, the live streaming. So right now you might be watching on Facebook or YouTube or within Simpatico itself. It's a platform that's kind of like live stream, like Twitch meets professional networks like LinkedIn meets YouTube, but basically it's
Am
a
I in
place.
the future?
It's a place for climate conversations, actually, because the idea is this is a place where professionals from different sectors, whether they're working on the climate solutions that come from economics or from business or from policy or from activism or community engagement or journalism, they can all come together and they can do interviews, they can watch other people's episodes and learn from each other and break down some of those professional silos we have so we can really make a difference on these big wicked problems like climate change.
And speaking of which, you have your own show, I believe, on that very topic.
I sure do. So I started 2020 hosting a kids broadcast TV show about science. And now here I am making a show all about climate change. So it's called Climate Australia. So I'm really hoping to make this a space for Australians to find climate news, to have climate conversations in the media, because we don't have enough spaces for climate conversations in the media, for climate news, for climate politics, and for climate tech, everything. So really, I'm hoping to try and make space through Simpatico on Climate Australia where that can happen. So if anyone's interested, it's free to join. You can watch all the previous episodes. You can watch back Judith and Simon talking about kitchen weasels, because this will also be.
I want to do that. You know, that's going to be incredible. I'm going to have that on a loop so I can see it again and again and again.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, hope everyone will join me there.
Well, thanks, Lee. Thanks for everything you've done for tonight. And thanks for just, working out what you wanted to do and being powerful and doing it, taking a step. So thanks so much for that. And now I'm going to get rid of you, Lee, because it's time for something that, well, I think we know I've become obsessed with. I'm afraid it's time for the last challenge. And the last challenge is, well, of course, it's people eating chocolate eclairs without their hands. Why wouldn't it be? Don't forget to vote on Facebook using the emojis like for Shannon, love for Nat, laugh for Lucy, and wow for Polly. Again, a big fat thank you to Property Collectives and V2 Food for all their support. Thanks for donating to these people's fundraising pages. And here we go. Let's see the last challenge.
Shannon, and I am raising funds for Climate for Change because I love Mother Earth and want to live harmoniously on this planet for our race as long as possible.
Hey guys, my name's Nat and I am fundraising for Climate for Change because I want climate action yesterday.
Hey everyone, my name's Polly. I'm also fundraising for Climate for Change because I believe that Climate for Change has the solutions that we need to take real action on climate change.
Hi, I'm Lucy. I'm fundraising for Climate for Change because I think they're a really great organisation and I want to keep everyone safe from all of the bushfires.
And we are here doing the eclair challenge tonight, seeing who can scoff down their eclair the quickest as possible without any hands, purely mouth action. So we're gonna scoff this eclair down to change the climate. 3, 2, 1, let's go.
Oh. No, this is really hard. I can't even get a bite of it. What do you do?
I'm gonna win! Winner, winner!
Wow!
Eclair dinner.
Oh my god, Shannon.
How is that so quick?
Holly, what are you doing? Nah, yours is just way too big.
Yeah.
That is ridiculous.
I'm in debate, honestly.
Bye.
I'm just a mess. I don't even look like I've tried.
Hands behind your back, Nat.
Oh.
Lucy, go on, you're almost done.
I could still win.
You could still win that. I don't think so.
Oh my god. This is so hard.
Come on, you can do it. You're so close.
I just want Lucy to finish already so I can stop eating it. I've like pushed the plate so far away as well.
Does that count?
I reckon.
I'm done.
Yeah, I reckon that's it. I don't think you have to eat the whole thing, Nat.
Yeah, I'm tapping it.
My faces stay so clean. Look at mine.
I've wiped my face like 3 times. It's like,
all right.
Ooh, tasty.
As a child, I loved the trees. As an adult, I still love the trees. I've learned over time that we need to do more than just loving trees. We need to talk about saving this earth. I'm excited to be part of this conversation with you. Climate for Change is doing a lot for me and you. For the past year, I've been donating my money every month to support the work that Climate for Change do for you and me. Let's raise lots of money. Let's do it. Let's put the FPOS cards and credit cards and checkbooks out. Let's raise some money so that the kids can love the trees like I used to. Hello, my name is Dana Nguyen. I'm an actor and comedian, and I am here to support Climate for Change online marathon, telethon, online-a-thon, karaoke-thon. I've been supporting Climate for Change as a monthly donor, and I do that because I know the work they do is impactful, and having attended a conversation session and also hosted a conversation session as well, I saw the impact it had one-to-one with people to understand, to talk about their fears.
Please support, have a great night, dig deep, and let's raise this money and let's do it. Let's do it for us. Let's do it for the kids. And thank you so much for all your work, Climate for Change. We're right behind you. Love the trees, I do. Let's raise some money. Dig so deep into your pockets and raise money for climate for change. We can do it.
Thanks, Diana. I really just lost my internet connection then, so I'm really hoping that this is going out, that you can see what I'm doing. Fingers crossed. That's technology for you. I think we're going to do a target check-in, and that is potentially very exciting. Yes, there we go. $51,000, 181. What? Oh my God. You're all incredible. You're powerful. You've taken steps. You're all doing amazing things for Climate for Change and just quietly, maybe the world. The bad news is there's only one thank you gift left, but you know, I think we all saw that coming because so many people have been donating, but it's not too late to get in and still be involved in a coffee catch up. If you donate $50 or more, you can have a coffee with me or Simon. Apparently we're both cooking. Who knew? Damon Gamos, Sarah Wilson, Egg Boy, get on board. But oh, thank you so much. But you know what? We don't have much longer left. So let's keep all of those donations coming. And I am fairly confident that we are now going to be going to Egg Boy. And I've got to stop calling him that. He is, of course, Will Connolly, who shot to fame. No, we're not doing that. What we are going to do, and I'm going to acknowledge some of the sponsors, we're going to acknowledge Power Shop, and we're going to acknowledge Ethical Investments, and we're going to hear from one of the major sponsors now. Thank you to Bank Australia.
Every bank stopped funding the fossil fuel industry, live animal exports, and weapons. Where you bank can change the world.
And now it is time, thank you again to Bank Australia, to introduce Will Connolly, who of course shot to fame overnight as the 17-year-old that a lot of us fell in love with when he of course egged Fraser Anning for being a racist. But Will has actually gone on to use his money not just to help the people who were affected by the Christchurch massacre, but also for the victims of the climate-induced Australian bushfires and the famine in Yemen. Will is a big believer in people power and how that can be used to tackle issues like climate change. Here he is, Egg Boy.
Egging an elected
representative.
Yeah.
Last year, yeah.
And I know you've since made it clear that this is not a form of protest that you encourage or even condone. But I think, you know, for many people, you became a symbol of something, you know, of an ordinary person who stands up for what they believe is right. And I just wondered, you know, what have you learnt since all of that, through that process?
I've learnt a lot, and I've been able to soak up a lot of wisdom, which is the best part of it all. But the main thing and the most profound thing that I learnt was I was thrown, I blew up to fame. I got a lot of attention, people coming up to me. I got all these external forces, and all of a sudden I didn't like life as much. And I thought, well, you know, what the hell is going on? I don't like life as much. And the only thing left to do for me was to look inwards, to actually give back. And that was, you know, the most profound life lesson. I learned that, you know, life is never as pure and fulfilling as when you're looking inwards and giving back. When you're actually helping other people, doing and being of service, let's say being of service, and looking after the earth it actually releases oxytocin, which is a love hormone in your brain. So you're actually looking after yourself by doing that as well. So yeah, you are helping yourself by helping the earth and helping other people.
And I know you know, I guess you've also taken that as an opportunity to think about what to do next and how to make the world better, I guess. And I'd love to hear what your plans are next.
Yeah, so I'd love to have a microphone in my hand. I'd like to go around and talk and just keep talking crap and try and like plant seeds in people's heads, teach people what I've been able to learn, because all the life lessons that I've been able to learn would all go to waste if I didn't share them. So yeah, get people thinking, planting seeds, sharing wisdom. Yeah.
That's so cool. I mean, I guess that's what Climate for Change is all about.
Exactly.
People who I guess who understand climate change and understand what needs to be done, sharing that with people in a really effective way. And I know you were saying in particular, you're particularly keen to reach out to people still in school or just leaving school. Yeah,
I think it's a very important time period because kids dream, and they naturally do dream, and they're born without any fear, and then they get put into the system, and then by the time they're 40, they don't want to. They're like not dreaming anymore, and they're kind of just accepting things. So I think it's a very important age group.
Yeah, that's so true. As a 40-something-year-old, that's true. But I still dream, and people like you
awesome.
help with that as well. It's really inspiring.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad you still dream.
You have to. It's so important.
Yeah.
And I guess just one simple last question. We're really honoured and grateful that you've chosen to support us for this crowdfunder, and I just wondered, why? What does it mean to you to support Climate for Change?
Well, anyone that reaches out to me that has a pretty cool project that has influence to do with climate change, I'd love to jump on board and help, because we're going to have to turn things around no matter what, or the Earth's just going to keep spitting at us and spitting back at us. So we might as well do it now. I don't see the point in waiting until it's either too late or so much damage has already been done. It's just so simple. And it'll start with the people, and that's the only way, because it's obviously not going to start from the top right now. So the more seeds we plant and the more people open up to the idea, change will come. And it's only ever came by mass protests in history. So just keep spreading it.
I guess I really believe in Climate for Change's mission and the way that we go about doing things. When you listen to people and you give time and space for them to explain what they think and what they believe, that's when you can actually engage and connect with people, and that's when people's thinking starts to shift.
Because I really believe that people need the time and space to talk about why climate change matters to them.
We need to have a conversation.
That seemed to be a more strategic approach to tackling climate change rather than just trying to do stuff by myself all the time.
It's a model that feels human and feels like it's a really effective community-based level method of bringing more and more people on board to solve the problems of climate change.
And I think Climate for Change does a really amazing job of creating that space for those conversations to happen.
The model is a really empowering way to help people feel that they can make a difference.
And you have a plan of what works, then you just have to keep working on it, and that's what it's going to take. It's just going to take pinning your heels back and our heels back and working no matter how hard it seems to be.
And also that I didn't have to do it alone, that I could be part of this incredible community that is doing this work together.
God bless those facilitators. And I love seeing the age range there. Thanks also to Will Connolly. And Will, I'm 52 and menopausal, and damn it, I'm still dreaming. I'm dreaming big, and those dreams are coming true. Let's have another look at the target, which we just surpassed ages ago. Let's see. Oh, $53,000, 356. I mean, get out. Just get out. But don't stop now. Don't forget that C4C crowdfunder goes for 5 weeks and they need to raise $190,000. Don't forget that you can keep donating money. You can keep donating money to be in the draw for the coffee catch-ups until 6 o'clock tomorrow night. So let's keep that all happening. Thank you again to the big sponsors. Thank you to Ethical Investments, PowerShop and Bank Australia. And now it's time for our very last interview of the night. It is time to hear from Sarah Wilson. Sarah is a former journalist and TV presenter, best-selling author and activist. Sarah's latest book, This One Wild and Precious Life, is a soul's journey through the complexities of climate change, coronavirus, racial inequalities, and our disconnection from what matters, back to life. That sounds pretty incredible. Let's hear from Sarah Wilson.
For making the time to chat with me today. The first question I have for you is, you've recently been really active on climate over the last few years, and I just wondered, what was it that brought you to this space, or why is this such an important issue for you?
I've always been engaged, I guess, in the climate debate since I was a kid, just because of the way I grew up, and minimalism and not spending, consuming has generally been my way into it, or my activation. But after I wrote my book first, We Make the Beast Beautiful, about anxiety, I realised that the anxiety had now gone out into the collective, and it was very much pegged to climate anxiety. And what was really distinguishing things was that people were feeling very disempowered and overwhelmed. And I really felt that we needed to find a path for all of us where the overwhelm did not hold us back from activating and from accessing the real news, the real science. And so that's why I said about writing a book, a part 2, that goes into the anxiety around climate change and how we can actually find a soulful path, a charming path that could hopefully mobilise as many of us as possible.
Thank you. I've just started reading that book. I'm really excited to finish the rest of it. It's always good to be reinvigorated. And through that book, you actually, there was a quote from it that I pulled that talks about the urgent need for us to become alive to what is happening in life around us, so we might have a chance of saving it and each other. And I'd love to hear what you learned. I think that was at the beginning of your book, and you go on a journey to learn about that. What did you learn through writing the book about that?
It was a 3-year journey, and I've got to say I deep dived into the science, the philosophy, and spoke to all kinds of climate psychologists about what activates, what triggers people's imagination, and everyone in this space is trying to find that secret thing that will get people signing up, joining marches, signing petitions, etc. And, primarily getting industry and government to sign on. So I hit some really, really low points where as many in the movement do, where I was like, nothing's going to work. So I did what I always do, and I went out hiking, and I realised that the answer was closer, more intimate, more beautiful and accessible than I realised. I feel that we are disconnected. We're disconnected from what matters. We're disconnected from nature. We're disconnected from our nature. And that is what is stopping us from stepping up and saving what matters to us. And I believe what matters to us is nature. It's life on this planet, this one wild and precious life. And it's as simple as going back to what it is that we love. Because as we know, we will save what we love. There's that example of the mother who can find this, incredible strength. A 45-kilo mother can lift a car off her toddler because she will save what she loves. And that is what I feel is missing from this whole debate, is a reminder of how much we love this planet, this wild and precious life. So that's the entry point. That is the through line through my book that I take the reader on is a journey to reconnect with nature.
That's really good to hear. I think that that really resonates at the beginning of our conversations. We always ask people, the very first thing is just for them to reflect on, what do you value, and really try and, have that at front of mind when we're talking about this issue to keep that connection. One more thing for people watching tonight, what would you suggest, are the most powerful things that people can do right now? Ordinary people who aren't necessarily scientists, billionaires, engineers, everyday people.
Yeah, my sort of mantra is start where you are. I mean, we live in a world now where we think we've got to go and achieve something way out there and have a big marketing campaign for it and a whiteboard full of ideas. No, start where you are. If you're a busy mum at home and you've got kids that have a canteen, go and activate a thinking, reading discussion group through that crew of other parents that you're engaging with. My book's full of small examples of people, everyday people, who have just started where they are. And my belief is that care begets care. It is contagious. And once you enroll people, the momentum becomes exponential. And we all know that 3.5% figure that Erica Chenworth cites in her studies, where you only have to get 3.5% of any given group on board in sort of peaceful, engaged protest, and change will come about. So I remind people of that. It doesn't matter what you do, just start. Don't hold back. Do it today. Start recycling. Get your apartment together to recycle better and to use up stuff in a more productive way rather than throwing it in the recycling bin, because as we know, that's not the solution. So start where you are, and it can be as simple as you like. It all counts.
Thank you. And a great way to start where you are is to host a climate conversation, because it's all about bringing neighbours together and working out what you can do together. So that fits really
connection.
well.
Connection is what we crave. Connection is why we are in this mess. Reconnection will solve it. And I know that that's what Climate for Change is all about. Conversation, making people feel less alone, less overwhelmed, will get the result that we all know we are capable of.
Thank you, Sarah Wilson. And my God, we do all love this planet, and everyone who's donated has really shown that tonight. So thank you. I know I've been annoying, but it's been really overwhelming. Your generosity has just been incredible. So thank you so much. We are pretty much at the end of it, so I am going to barrel through a few thank yous before a few people join me on the screen. I'd like to thank all our guests: Simon Toohey, Dr. Hernandez, Dr. Joel Gurgis, Felix Riebel, Rebecca Huntley, Damon Gameau, Egg Boy, Sheila, Diana Newen, Sarah Wilson. Don't forget, you can still go in the draw for the coffee catch-ups until 6 o'clock tomorrow for me, Sarah, Damon, and Egg Boy, and Simon. Did I say Simon? Or did I deliberately not say him? Quick shout out to all the amazing sponsors. Thank you to Simpatico and Climate Australia, Ethical Investment Services, Power Shop and Bank Australia, Property Collectives, V2 Food, Gorman, Alpha 60, Enyo, Cloak, Mud Australia, Crumpler, Halcyon Nights, Ahimsa Collective, Namaste, Fitzroy Nursery, Aesop, Blackhearts and Sparrows, my favourite bottle shops, and Biome. Thank you, of course, to Simpatico. You wouldn't even be seeing me without them, and thanks to the amazing team there, especially Sarah Lee and Zach, and boy, have they had a lot to deal with simply working with me. Thank you, of course, to everyone from Climate for Change, all the volunteers. It took so much to pull all of this together. There are too many of you to thank, but I am especially going to shout out to Mike McAvoy and Deb Punton, who you saw earlier, but also Marta, Kate, Federica, Nat, Catalina, Tatiana, Rachel, and Julia. And now I'm very much hoping that Deb and Mike are going to join me, as well, of course, as Katerina, who I believe is going to have a lot of water thrown at her. And there she is, happy. Caterina. Mike eating an onion. I'm so glad I didn't commit to doing anything. Although apparently I'm somehow up against Simon and cooking. I understood that. Oh, hello, Lee. Oh, wonderful.
Oh, here it goes. Let's get right in there. Beautiful.
Oh, Mike, nice work. How's that tasted?
That's great. This is for Maya and Elijah, and a massive thank you to everyone that's donated tonight. It is absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
And
All
right,
I pat to Katerina. And I'm guessing that was great. That looked really refreshing, Katerina. My God, I bet you could do this all again.
Bravo.
Your family together in a very beautiful way.
These are my two kids, Jasper and Misha, and the
Hi.
reason I do everything I do.
Well done, kids. Well done.
I'm not going to hug you because you're. And I just want to say a huge thank you to. I'm actually really, really overwhelmed. I think our week target was $50,000. So we're so incredibly grateful to everyone being so generous, especially in these difficult times. But I guess we also know that this is a picnic compared to climate change. So we have to keep fighting and working as hard as we can. Thank you again to all the volunteers. Such an amazing group of people, staff as well, who've put together tonight, and Simpatica and Judith. And Simon, I just want to say such a huge thank you to you guys. You were fabulous and you've been so wonderful to work with. We've never done anything like this before, and I was so grateful to have you professional people on board to get us through tonight. So thank you so, so much. And it's cold.
Well done. And I think everyone saw then that we've now passed $55,000. Just amazing.
55K. Congratulations, everyone.
Wow. Incredible. Thank you to everyone. Please keep donating. Please take that first step for climate if you haven't already. Please support the next 5 weeks for Climate for Change. Do everything you can. Mike, for the love of God, keep eating that onion. And unless anyone has anything to add, let's go out the way we.
One thing to add also, I forgot to mention, if you really love tonight and you got really excited, you can still sign up to fundraise as well.
Brilliant. That's it. We're here. Let's take us out before Mike chokes. With Dr. Hernandez. Good night, everyone. Thank you so much.
Silencio, quisiera escuchar la cumbia. En vez del gran silencio, quisiera escuchar la cumbia. Felicidad me da felicidad. Felicidad me da felicidad. Distancia, yo quiero bailar la cumbia. Dancing a distancia, yo quiero bailar la cumbia. Felicidad me da felicidad. Felicidad me da felicidad. cumbia que da vida a